This is breaking news.
Well, breaking news into the CBS 2 newsroom. I'm Marcos Guadarrama. The jury is done deliberating in the trial of Chad Daybell, the Idaho man accused of killing his wife and his girlfriend's two youngest children. Chad Daybell is charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder in connection with the 2019 deaths. The judge is preparing to address the jury, who will then deliver the verdict. We found this out about an hour ago. Now, prosecutors they claim that Daybell and Vallow Daybell conspired to kill Tammy Daybell and the children to obtain money from survivor benefits and life insurance. Daybell's defense attorney says there isn't enough evidence to tie Daybell to the deaths. Daybell could face the death penalty if he is convicted. If jurors find Daybell guilty of the murder or conspiracy charges, then they will be tasked with deciding if the death penalty should be imposed. Vallow Daybell was convicted. Out that the verdict will be announced here in the Chad Daybell trial. You see some file video there in the courtroom. They're preparing to address the jury, who will then deliver the verdict. Prosecutors have called dozens of witnesses to bolster their claims that Chad Daybell and Vallow Daybell conspired to kill the 2 children and Tammy Daybell to get rid of any obstacles to their relationship, as well as to obtain money from survivor benefits and life insurance. So the prosecutors say the couple justified the killings by creating an apocalyptic belief system that people could be possessed by evil spirits and turned into zombies, and that the only way to save a possessed person's soul was for the possessed body to die. This trial carrying on for several weeks now. We've been covering it extensively on air and online. Now, here are the victims: Tammy Daybell and the 2 kids of his then mistress. See on the screen right here, J.J. Vallow, Tylee Ryan, Vallow Daybell already serving her sentence, of course. Several life sentences without parole. And of course, she's also in Arizona awaiting another trial as well. So here at the top of the hour, again, Chad Daybell trial verdict is expected to be read. Prosecutors claim Daybell and Vallow Daybell conspired to kill Tammy. But we are seeing right now the verdict is about to be read, so we're just going to be waiting to head to the courtroom here shortly.
Thank you. Please be seated. All right, I apologize. It'll take me a moment here to get logged on, and then we'll get started. Okay, we're on the record on case CR 22-21-1623, State of Idaho versus Chad Daybell. The court's been advised that the jury has reached a verdict. The court will note the parties are present. The state's present with Mr. Wood, Ms. Blake, Mr. Wixom, and Ms. Beatty. Mr. Pryor's here representing the defendant, Mr. Daybell, and the court at this time is going to instruct the jurors to please be brought into the courtroom. That will include our alternate jurors as well to be seated. And then I will have the marshal get the verdict form from the jury once they return to the courtroom. So if they can come in at this time, we'll have them brought in.
All right, please. Here's our President Counter for you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Please be seated. All right, the court's going to next just make a reference that there is a courtroom conduct order in effect in this proceeding to remain in effect. So I appreciate everyone complying with that order, as most of you have done throughout the proceedings in this case. At this time, then, the first matter I'd like to take up is to do a roll call of the jury for the record. So, Madam Clerk, if you could please conduct a roll call of our jury to make sure they're all present and properly seated at this time.
Juror number 1, red card number 27. Juror number 2, red card number 219. Juror number 4, red card number 631. Juror number 5, red card number 653. Juror number 7, red card number 752. Juror number 8, red card 1680. Juror number 9, red card number 823. Juror number 10, red card 1358.
Present.
Juror number 11, red card 1365. Juror number 12, red card 716.
Present.
Juror number 14, red card 997.
Present.
And juror number 15, red card 1078.
All right. Thank you, Madam Clerk, for conducting the roll call. All right, at this time, I'm next going to inquire from the jury foreperson, has the jury reached a verdict? All right, thank you. Mr. Bailiff, if you would please retrieve the verdict from the jury foreperson. Thank you. All right, the court has reviewed the verdict form. I'll note that all counts have been properly marked, as well as the verdict form's been properly dated and signed by the foreperson. The next step then is Mr. Daybell, if you and counsel would please rise, I'm going to have the clerk read the verdict.
In the District Court of the 7th Judicial District of the State of Idaho and for the County of Fremont, State of Idaho Plaintiff versus Chad Daybell Defendant, case number CR 22211623. Verdict. We, the jury, duly impaneled and sworn to try the above entitled action for our verdict, unanimously answer the questions submitted to us as follows. Question number 1. In regards to count 1 of the amended indictment, is Chad Daybell not guilty or guilty of conspiracy to commit first-degree murder of Tylee Ryan and grand theft by deception? Guilty. Question number 2. In regards to count 2 of the amended indictment, is Chad Daybell not guilty or guilty of first-degree murder of Tylee Ryan? Guilty. Question number 3. In regards to count 3 of the amended indictment, is Chad Daybell not guilty or guilty of conspiracy to commit first-degree murder of Joshua Jackson Vallow and grand theft by deception? Guilty. Question number 4. In regards to count 4 of the amended indictment, is Chad Daybell not guilty or guilty of first-degree murder of Joshua Jackson Vallow? Guilty. Question number 5. In regards to count 5 of the amended indictment, is Chad Daybell not guilty or guilty of conspiracy to commit first-degree murder of Tammy Daybell? Guilty. Question number 6. In regards to count 6 of the amended indictment, is Chad Daybell not guilty or guilty of first-degree murder of Tammy Daybell? Guilty. Question number 7. In regards to count 7 of the amended indictment, is Chad Daybell not guilty or guilty of insurance fraud? Guilty. Question number 8. In regards to count 8 of the amended indictment, in regards to count 9 of the amended indictment, is Chad Daybell not guilty or guilty of insurance fraud? Guilty. Dated this 30th day of May, 2024, and signed by the presiding juror.
All right, Madam Clerk, thank you for reading the verdict. At this time, I'm just going to collectively ask the jurors, all of you, is this in fact your unanimous verdict on each of those counts? Very well. At this time, I'm going to inquire if the parties wish to have the jury polled. Does the state wish to have the jury polled?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
Does the defense, Mr. Pryor, wish to have the jury polled?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
Very well, then. I'm going to direct the clerk to record the verdict. At this time, then, this does conclude the guilt phase of this trial. Because the defendant has been convicted on counts of first-degree murder and conspiracy to commit first-degree murder, the state has filed a notice of intent to seek the death penalty, and so a second phase of this trial, called the sentencing phase, will be taking place next. We're going to take a recess at this time for approximately an hour. We will come back on the record and begin with the start of that sentencing phase of the trial. I would like to remind everyone that this courtroom conduct order is still in application throughout these proceedings. Thank you all for complying with that. We are going to take that recess at this time. Mr. Daybell is to remain in custody at this time for the commencement of the sentencing.
We are watching, just watched the live verdict of Chad Daybell. You saw there 12 jurors finding Chad Daybell guilty. The jury delivering that verdict just moments ago, finding him guilty on all counts, unanimous verdict. Of course, the judge announcing there a second phase will now begin to announce a sentencing. They are going to be seeking the death penalty. Of course, if you notice there, they did ask the jury if this was a unanimous on all counts verdict, and they did respond with yes. So just to recap, Chad Daybell is charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder in connection to the 2019 deaths of his former wife and then his current wife's 2 youngest children. Again, the jury delivering that verdict just moments ago. We're going to toss out to our reporter, Savannah Hankard, who's on the scene at the courthouse. She's going to have more details on what's going on at the scene. Savannah, what are you seeing out there?
Well, Marcos, while the verdict was being read, there are a handful of people here that were watching Judge Boyce's live Instagram. And as each count was found guilty, there were cheers, there was excitement, there was audible exclamations of yes. There have been a few tears as well, but overall the mood, I would say the mood seems quite excited and happy. Again, there's a decent amount of people here, not as many as there were for Lori's trial, but still a lot of people. There are a few people here that came from out of state to hear the verdict, as well as locals who wanted to know, and will continue to stay here until the rest of the court proceedings finish for today. We will have the rest of that in our evening newscasts. Reporting live in Boise, I'm Savannah Hinkard.
Savannah, thank you. Now stick with us on this story as the verdict develops and the second phase of the sentencing develops as well. We'll be on air and online, idahonews.com. We'll have more details at 4 o'clock. Thank you for joining us.